Whispers. Through the snowfall. The wind howled through the pines, carrying ice and darkness across the mountainside. Jasper Hale added another log to his fireplace, watching as sparks danced upward into the chimney. 6 years in this cabin, and winter storms still made him uneasy. Too many memories of frozen nights in distant war zones. He reached for his mug of whiskey-laced coffee when a sound cut through the storm's wail. Not wind, not wildlife. Something else. A crash. Metal on stone. Jasper was at his rifle before his mug hit the floor. Military instincts never truly faded, even when you buried yourself in the mountains of northern Montana. He slipped into his thermal coat, strapped a med kit to his belt, and grabbed a flashlight. Probably just a downed drone, he muttered to himself, though drones rarely flew during blizzards, and certainly not this far from civilization. The snow stung his face as he followed the sound, his flashlight beam cutting through sheets of white. 20 yards from his cabin, the light caught on something that didn't belong. A deep furrow in the snow, edged with scorched earth and fragments of metal, unlike any human craft he'd seen during his time in the service. At the end of the trench lay a figure, curled and shivering. "Hello?" Jasper called, approaching cautiously. "Are you hurt?" The figure stirred, and Jasper's breath caught. The woman, if that was the right word, had skin the color of twilight dusk, a rich indigo marked with delicate luminescent patterns along her temples and shoulders. Her hair, splayed across the snow, was the palest silver, almost translucent in the flashlight beam. She wore the remnants of what appeared to be a flight suit, torn and charred in places, revealing more of that remarkable skin. Earth had made contact with several alien species in the past decade, but encounters remained rare outside major cities and diplomatic zones. Finding one half dead in a blizzard miles from anywhere was unprecedented. Her eyes opened, irises of amber gold with vertical pupils that widened in the darkness and locked onto his. Pain and fear gave way to something else. Recognition. "Human," she said, her voice accented but clear. "Please, help." Jasper's medic training took over. He knelt beside her, scanning for injuries. "I'm Jasper, can you tell me where you're hurt?" "Everywhere," she whispered, then winced as she tried to move. "My side. Puncture." He found the wound quickly, a deep gash just below her ribs, leaking fluid that seemed too dark and thick to be blood. "I need to get you somewhere warm. My cabin's close." Without waiting for permission, he slid his arms beneath her shoulders and knees. She was lighter than he expected, despite standing nearly as tall as himself. Her body radiated heat that felt almost feverish against the winter air. "What's your name?" he asked as he trudged through the deepening snow. She hesitated, then spoke softly near his ear. "Nisa, embassy liaison of the Viridian Conclave." Jasper's steps faltered. The Viridians were the most recent arrival to Earth's growing interstellar community, mysterious, advanced, and notoriously private. Their diplomatic corps maintained minimal contact with humans, operating primarily through intermediaries. "Long way from any embassy," he said. "Not by choice," she replied, her voice fading. "Sabotage. Needed to warn." Her head lolled against his shoulder as consciousness slipped away. Inside the cabin, Jasper placed her carefully on the couch before stoking the fire to blazing. The storm had worsened, trapping them together for at least the night. No chance of reaching a hospital or alien embassy. Not that he was certain either would welcome her, given what she'd said about sabotage. As he cleaned her wound with steady hands, Nisa stirred. Her eyes found his again, clearer now despite the pain. "You were a healer," she observed, watching his methodical movements. "Combat medic, Afghanistan and the Nigerian border crisis. And now you are alone in these mountains." It wasn't a question. Jasper applied a pressure bandage, wondering how similar her physiology was to human. Seemed simpler. "Nothing is simple anymore," she whispered. Her hand, four-fingered with elegant joints, reached for his arm. "They will come looking for me." "Who?" "Both sides. Those who want peace. those who fear it. Her grip tightened. I should leave before I bring danger to your door. You'd die in that storm, Jasper said firmly. Whatever's coming, it can wait until morning. Nisa's expression softened. She sank back against the couch, her silver hair catching firelight in rippling waves. Then I am in your debt, Jasper of Earth, she murmured as her eyes drifted closed. And debts are sacred to my people. Jasper watched her breathing steady, wondering what chain of events he'd set in motion by bringing her here. 6 years he'd spent avoiding the world's complications, and now the stars themselves had crashed into his solitude. Outside, the storm raged on, and somewhere beyond it, unknown forces were moving. For tonight, at least, they were just two souls finding shelter against the cold. Trust in starlight morning arrived with silence, the storm having exhausted itself in the night. Sunlight streamed through frost-etched windows, illuminating Nissa's sleeping form on the couch. Jasper had kept vigil for hours before finally dozing. In his armchair, his rifle propped against the wall within reach. He woke to find her watching him, those amber eyes thoughtful and guarded. Your wound needs checking, he said, voice rough with sleep. Nissa nodded, sitting upright with careful movements. The bleeding has stopped. Your methods were effective, if primitive. Primitive gets the job done sometimes. Jasper knelt beside her, gently removing the bandage to examine the gash. The edges had sealed with a translucent film. Her body's natural healing process, he assumed. You have questions, she said. About a dozen. Starting with what a Viridian diplomat was, doing in a ship that crashed miles from anywhere. Nissa's luminescent markings pulsed faintly, a physiological response he couldn't interpret. I was returning from a classified meeting with your government's Joint Species Council. Someone disabled my craft's navigation systems mid-flight. Sabotage, you mentioned. Yes. Her four-fingered hand traced the patterns on her forearm absently. There are factions on both our worlds who prefer suspicion to cooperation. My mission threatens their agenda. Jasper applied a fresh bandage, wondering how much of her story to believe. The Joint Species Council operated under heavy secrecy, managing Earth's delicate relations with extraterrestrial civilizations. Few knew the extent of their activities. And what mission is worth killing a diplomat over? Nissa's gaze drifted to the window, to the pristine white landscape beyond. I carry information about a resource-sharing proposal, Viridian medical technology in exchange for access to Earth's biodiversity. She paused. Technology that could have saved many lives during your wars. The statement hit like a physical blow. Jasper thought of comrades he couldn't save, of blood on his hands in field hospitals with insufficient supplies. Convenient timing, he said, more bitterly than intended. You lost someone. Jasper stood abruptly, moving to stoke the fire rather than face her perceptiveness. Most medics do. I apologize, I didn't mean to. It's fine. He cut her off, changing the subject. Your people will be looking for you, I assume? Eventually. Nissa attempted to stand, wincing as she put weight on her leg. But standard protocol after communications failure is to await contact rather than initiating search operations. It prevents escalation. And whoever sabotaged your ship will believe I died in the crash, unless they discover otherwise. Jasper helped her to the kitchen table, setting down a plate of simple breakfast: toast, eggs, dried fruit. He'd no idea what Viridians ate, but she needed sustenance. This dwelling, Nissa said, examining the cabin while cautiously sampling the food. It's isolated by choice. After my discharge, cities felt overwhelming. You carry the war within you still. Jasper didn't respond, busying himself with mundane tasks. He wasn't accustomed to having his defenses so easily penetrated. I understand, she continued softly. The Viridian conclave emerged from centuries of internal conflict. Many of us bear similar scars. Is that why your people keep humans at arm's length, afraid we're too warlike? Perhaps. Her markings shimmered as she selected a piece of dried apple. Or perhaps we recognize ourselves too clearly in your species, the same capacity for both creation and destruction. They ate in companionable silence until Jasper noticed Nisa staring at a small wooden figurine on his shelf. A half-finished carving of a wolf. You create with your hands, she observed. Helps pass the winters. He shrugged. Nothing special. We have a saying, in idle hands truth finds form. She smiled, the first he'd seen from her. Your work reveals patience, attention, qualities that likely made you an excellent healer. Something in her words breached a wall he'd built years ago. Not excellent enough. Before she could respond, a mechanical chirp emanated from her tattered flight suit. Nisa tensed, reaching into a hidden pocket to extract a device no larger than a river stone, its surface pulsing with soft blue light. What is it? Jasper asked, instantly alert. Emergency beacon, it's detecting a scan. Her expression darkened. Someone is searching this region with advanced technology. Your people? No. Wrong signature pattern. She closed her fist around the device. Whoever sabotaged my craft is confirming their success. Jasper moved to the window, surveying the clearing around his cabin with practiced eyes. Nothing visible yet, but the forest felt unnaturally still. How long before they find us? Hours, perhaps. The storm scattered debris widely, making the crash site difficult to pinpoint. Then we need to move. Jasper began gathering essentials, food, medical supplies, cold weather gear. I have a hunting shelter 2 miles north, more defensible position. Nisa watched him with a mixture of surprise and something else. Respect, perhaps. You would risk yourself further for me? You know nothing of my mission beyond what I've claimed. Jasper paused in his preparations. I know you were injured and needed help. That's enough. He handed her a heavy coat and boots. Besides, anyone willing to shoot down a diplomat isn't someone I want dropping by unannounced. For a moment, vulnerability showed through Nisa's composed exterior. My people rarely speak of debts, but when we do, we honor them absolutely. She took the coat from his hands, her fingers brushing his. If we survive this, Jasper Hale, I will not forget. The contact lingered, warmth spreading from that simple touch. Jasper found himself momentarily distracted by the iridescent patterns tracing down her neck, disappearing beneath the collar of her damaged flight suit. He cleared, his throat returning to the task at hand. Save the promises for when we're clear of whoever's coming. As they prepared to venture into the wilderness, Jasper felt an unexpected clarity. For years he'd hidden from the world and its conflicts, yet here he was, willingly stepping back, into danger for a being from another star. Perhaps, he thought as he checked his rifle one last time, some instincts ran deeper than fear. Outside, winter sunshine glinted off untouched snow, and somewhere beyond the tree line, hunters were closing in. Jasper offered Nisa his arm for support, and together they disappeared into the ancient forest, leaving nothing behind but footprints the wind would soon erase. Hunters in the shadow. The forest sheltered them as they moved northward, pine boughs heavy with snow creating natural canopies against aerial surveillance. Nisa's injury slowed their pace, but her determination never wavered. Twice they stopped, while Jasper erased their tracks, listening to the distant whine of drones searching the crash site they'd left behind. They're using tachyon scanners, Nisa whispered as they crouched beneath an outcropping of rock. Military grade, not standard search equipment. Government black ops? Jasper asked, adjusting the makeshift walking stick he'd fashioned for her, or private contractors. Earth has several corporations eager to acquire Viridian technology by any means. Her amber eyes narrowed. The peace accord I was negotiating would regulate such acquisitions. A metallic whirring sound cut through the forest silence. Jasper pulled Nisa deeper into the shadow of the rocks as a sleek drone passed overhead, its sensors sweeping the area in pulsing red grids. That's not civilian tech, he murmured. Looks like quantum defense systems. Military contractor. You recognize it? They supplied equipment for our forward operating bases. A bitter smile crossed his face. Good to know who's hunting us. They waited until the drone passed before continuing their journey. By midday, the hunting cabin came into view, little more than a reinforced shack nestled against a cliff face, but defensible and with sightlines in 3 directions. As Jasper secured the perimeter, Nisa studied a small device from her flight suit, its screen displaying incomprehensible symbols. "What is it?" he asked, returning to her side. "Communication frequencies. Your Earth's military channels are active in this region." She looked up, concern evident in the rapid pulsing of her markings. "They're deploying ground teams. We have perhaps 2 hours." Jasper checked his ammunition, woefully inadequate against a professional tactical team. "We can't outrun them with your injury, and we can't outgun them. Perhaps we don't need to." Nisa's fingers danced across her device. "If I can access a secure channel to the Viridian embassy." "You said protocol." "Was to wait for contact. Protocol assumes I wasn't targeted specifically." Her eyes met his. "I believe someone within the Joint Species Council betrayed my mission. Someone who knew my flight path." The implications hung heavy between them. If true, they were facing not just corporate mercenaries but potentially government-sanctioned forces. "Can you trust your own people?" Jasper asked quietly. Nisa's hesitation told him everything. "I can trust my immediate superior, Ambassador Thelian. If I can reach him." A distant thumping sound reached them. Helicopter rotors. Jasper moved to the window, watching as a black speck appeared on the horizon. "Better make that call fast." As Nisa worked, Jasper prepared what defenses he could, positioning himself near the cabin's single entrance. The familiar weight of the rifle in his hands brought unwelcome memories: Afghanistan, Nigeria, the faces of those he couldn't save. "Jasper." Nisa's voice pulled him back. "I've made contact. A Viridian extraction team can reach us, but we must move to higher ground for them to lock onto my signal." He glanced toward the approaching helicopter. "Timing's going to be tight." "There's something else." She stepped closer, her expression grave. "Ambassador Thelian confirmed my suspicions. The sabotage was orchestrated by a human Viridian coalition opposed to the peace accord. They have agents in both governments. So we're caught between rival factions of 2 worlds." Jasper checked his watch. "Perfect." Nisa's hand found his arm, her touch warm through his sleeve. "I've brought this danger to you, I'm sorry. I made my choice when I found you in that snowbank." He surprised himself with the certainty in his voice. "Now let's get to that extraction point." They slipped out the back of the cabin just as the helicopter crested the nearest ridge. Staying low, they began the ascent toward a plateau Nisa had identified, the snow growing deeper with each step higher into the mountains. Behind them, shouts echoed as the first ground team discovered the empty cabin. Ahead lay uncertainty and the promise of salvation from beyond Earth's atmosphere. As they climbed, Jasper realized that for the first time in years, he felt fully alive, every sense heightened, every moment vital. It had taken an alien diplomat and a squad of armed pursuers to pull him from his self-imposed exile. "They're gaining," Nisa warned. Her breathing labored as her injury took its toll. Without hesitation, Jasper lifted her, supporting her weight against his side. "Then we move faster." Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. Trust? Perhaps, or something deeper, neither was ready to name. Above them the sky darkened as storm clouds gathered once more, as if nature itself sought to shield their escape from those who would stop a peace not yet born. The Embassy of Truth, the plateau opened before them, a natural clearing bordered by ancient pines. Snow swirled in thickening spirals as the storm gathered strength, obscuring visibility, a blessing that slowed their pursuers, but also endangered any rescue attempt. "Here," Nisa said, activating her beacon. Its blue light pulsed stronger now, cutting through the growing darkness. "The extraction team will need clear signatures to penetrate the storm." Jasper positioned himself at the edge of the clearing, rifle ready. The sounds of pursuit had diminished, but he knew better than to believe they'd escaped. "How long?" "Minutes, if atmospheric conditions permit." He nodded, conserving words as he scanned for threats. 6 years removed from combat, yet the vigilance returned effortlessly. Muscles tense, breath controlled, senses attuned to the slightest movement. Nisa joined him, her silver hair whipping in the strengthening wind. You've returned to what you were before? Never really left it behind. Is that why you isolated yourself? To escape what war made you? The question struck deeper than he expected. Partly. After Nigeria, I couldn't. He shook his head. Some things follow you. Gunfire erupted from the tree line, bullets splintering bark inches from their position. Jasper pulled Nissa down behind, a fallen log returning fire with measured bursts. 3 shooters, he said, ejecting an empty magazine. They're trying to pin us while others flank. Nissa's markings pulsed rapidly. Fear, Jasper guessed, or perhaps determination. She reached into her flight suit, extracting a small cylindrical device. Distraction module, she explained. It will disrupt their optical systems temporarily. She activated it with a twist, then hurled it toward their attackers. A flash of purple light erupted, followed by disoriented shouts. Nice trick, Jasper said, impressed. Diplomatic security has its advantages. Her smile was brief. Though I preferred negotiation to confrontation before today. The storm intensified, visibility dropping to mere yards. Through the snow-laden air, a new sound emerged. Not the mechanical thrum of helicopters, but a high-pitched resonance that seemed to vibrate through Jasper's very bones. They're here, Nisa breathed, relief evident in her voice. The clouds, above, parted, not naturally but as if pushed aside by an invisible force. Through the opening descended a craft unlike anything in Earth's arsenal. Sleek, almost translucent, with no visible propulsion system. It hovered silently 20 feet. Above the plateau, a column of soft light extending downward. We must go now, Nisa urged, pulling Jasper toward the light. Gunfire resumed, more desperate now. A bullet grazed Jasper's arm, tearing his coat and drawing blood. He barely registered the pain, transfixed by the vessel above them. They reached the column of light, and Jasper felt his body lighten, gravity's hold diminishing. Nisa's hand found his, gripping tightly as they ascended. Inside the craft, 3 beings awaited. Viridians like Nissa, though their markings were more elaborate, their attire clearly military in nature. They moved with fluid grace, securing Nissa's injury with advanced medical tools that sealed her wound instantly. Ambassador Thelian, Nissa addressed the eldest of the 3, speaking in English for Jasper's benefit. This human saved my life, and risked his own to ensure the mission's continuity. Thelian studied Jasper with eyes of deep emerald, unlike Nissa's amber. Then we owe him our gratitude. His accent was more pronounced than Nissa's, but his words precise. Though bringing him aboard was, unprecedented. I couldn't leave him to face those who hunted us, Nissa said firmly. Of course not. Thelian gestured to a crew member, who approached with a device that sealed Jasper's bullet graze without pain. And perhaps it is fitting. He should know what he helped preserve. The craft accelerated smoothly, breaking through the storm clouds into clear sky. Through a viewport, Jasper watched Montana's mountains recede, the curvature of Earth becoming visible. Where are we going? He asked, fighting vertigo. The Viridian Embassy, Thelian replied. Though not the public facility in Washington, our true embassy orbits your planet, cloaked from detection. The revelation stunned Jasper. Earth's governments knew of extraterrestrial embassies in major cities, but an orbital station. The implications were enormous. The peace accord, Nissa explained, joining them. It includes disclosure of this facility as a gesture of trust. That's why certain factions tried to prevent its signing. The vessel approached what appeared to be empty space until a shimmer revealed an enormous structure, an elegant array of interconnected spheres, somehow both solid and translucent, orbiting silently above Earth. This is why they tried to kill you, Jasper realized. Not just for the medical technology exchange, but because you're revealing how advanced your presence already is. Precisely. Thelian confirmed. Earth's military-industrial complex profits from fear of the unknown. Our visibility threatens that model. As they docked with the station, Jasper felt the weight of the moment. A former combat medic who'd retreated from the world was now witness to a truth that could reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. Nisa's hand found his again. Are you ready to see what few humans ever have? Her touch anchored him, a connection between worlds that suddenly seemed less distant than before. Lead the way, he said, stepping with her into the heart of the Viridian embassy, where the future of two species waited to be written. Beyond the horizon, the orbital embassy unfolded before Jasper like a dream. Vast chambers of crystal and living metal, gardens where plants from two worlds grew in harmonious spirals, and viewports offering unparalleled vistas of Earth below. 3 days he'd spent here, learning truths that redefined his understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. In the central council chamber, Nissa stood before assembled Viridian dignitaries and human representatives, her formal attire accentuating the luminescent patterns that Jasper had come to recognize as markers of her lineage. She was not merely a diplomat, but a member of the Conclave's governing family, a princess by Earth standards, though Viridians used no such terms. The accord stands, she announced, her voice carrying natural authority. Despite attempts to derail our progress, both councils have ratified the treaty. Jasper watched from the chamber's edge, still uncomfortable among the high-ranking officials who'd been shuttled discreetly to the station. Among them were military commanders, corporate leaders, and government ministers, some who had likely authorized the very forces that had hunted them through Montana's wilderness. The medical technology transfer begins immediately, Ambassador, Thelian added, and with it, the gradual disclosure of our orbital presence to Earth's general population. Murmurs rippled through the human contingent, excitement from some, thinly veiled concern from others whose power relied on maintaining Earth's isolation and fear of the unknown. After the session concluded, Nissa found Jasper in the observation dome, where he stood gazing at the blue-white curve of his homeworld. The view never diminishes, she said, joining him. It puts things in perspective. He turned to her, noting how the starlight played across her indigo skin. Your injury has healed completely. Viridian physiology, with some help from our medical facilities. She moved closer. And yours? Just a scratch. He smiled faintly. Though I'm still getting used to the idea that I'm technically in space. You've adjusted remarkably well for someone who preferred isolation. Maybe isolation wasn't what I needed after all. Their eyes met, the connection between them having grown beyond rescuer and rescued, beyond human and alien, into something neither had anticipated. The Joint Council has asked me to serve as permanent liaison for the medical technology program, Nissa said. I would divide my time between Earth and this station. Sounds like an important role. It is. Her markings pulsed with what he now recognized as nervousness. They've also requested that I recommend a human counterpart, someone who understands both medicine and the complexities of cross-species interaction. Jasper's breath caught as he realized what she was proposing. I've been out of practice for years, yet you saved my life with primitive techniques. Her hand reached for his, their fingers intertwining despite their anatomical differences. More importantly, you acted with compassion when faced with the unknown. That quality is rarer than any medical skill. Beyond the viewport, Earth continued its silent rotation. Beautiful, fragile, home to a species on the cusp of a transformation they could barely comprehend. I ran away once, Jasper said quietly. Hid myself in the mountains because I couldn't face what the wars had made me see, what they'd made me do. And now I'm wondering if this is what I was waiting for, a purpose bigger than my regrets. Nissa's free hand rose to touch his face, her warmth familiar now despite her alien nature. Among my people, we believe that souls recognize each other across lifetimes, across worlds. Perhaps this meeting was written in the stars long before either of us drew breath. Jasper had never been one for cosmic philosophy, but standing here, suspended between worlds with this remarkable being, he could almost believe it. If I accept, there would be challenges, opposition from both sides. There would, she agreed. The path of pioneers is never smooth. And us? He asked, the question containing multitudes. Her smile deepened, the luminescent patterns brightening along her temples. That is a journey I would welcome exploring, Jasper Hale of Earth. In the space between them lay possibilities neither could fully articulate, a relationship unprecedented in human history, bridging not just cultures but worlds. Yet in that moment, the enormity of it felt secondary to the simple truth of their connection. Ambassador Thelion approached, respectfully clearing his throat. The Earth delegation is preparing to return. Decisions must be made. Nissa nodded, maintaining her hold on Jasper's hand. We'll join you momentarily. When they were alone again, Jasper looked once more at the planet below, at the mountains where his cabin stood empty, at the vast expanse of a world that suddenly seemed both smaller and more precious than before. My whole life, he said, I've been defined by what I was running from. Maybe it's time to be defined by what I'm running toward. Nissa's eyes shimmered with emotion. Then let us run together, between stars and worlds, and see what wonders await. As they turned to join the delegates who would shape the future of two species, Jasper felt a certainty he'd thought lost forever. The universe was vaster and more complex than humanity had dreamed, filled with both peril and promise. And somehow, against all odds, he had found his place within it, alongside a being from another world who had crashed into his life like a falling star illuminating everything. Their journey was just beginning, but for the first time in years, Jasper Hale looked toward the horizon, not with dread but with hope.